You won't believe this, but some of the smartest people on the planet, the same people who can solve impossible problems and understand the deepest mysteries of the universe, often fail at the one thing that seems simple for everyone else: love. And according to Carl Jung, their downfall has nothing to do with feelings, but with the shadows they refuse to face as they walk through life thinking they understand everything except themselves. Highly intelligent people struggle in love, not because they lack the ability to care, but because they live inside a mind that never stops analyzing situations, dissecting emotions, and predicting outcomes, even before they happen, which creates a silent conflict inside them, a war between logic and vulnerability. And Jung believed that this internal war makes love feel dangerous instead of beautiful. Jung once said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And this is exactly what happens to highly intelligent people. Their minds are like supercomputers, but their hearts remain full of hidden fears, unresolved wounds, and internal shadows they don't even know exist. And because they don't recognize these shadows, they keep repeating the same emotional patterns without understanding why. Every highly intelligent person carries what Jung called a complex, a psychological knot built from childhood experiences, emotional memories, and hidden fears, and these complexes can silently control the way they behave in relationships. Imagine a brilliant man who grew up being praised only for his intelligence. He learns to hide his emotions because emotions don't earn applause, so he grows into an adult who sees vulnerability as weakness, not because he wants to, but because his shadow whispers to him that love is risky, that expressing his heart will make him lose control. Now imagine a highly intelligent woman who grew up observing unstable relationships around her. She becomes emotionally self-sufficient and incredibly strong, but deep inside her shadow tells her that relying on someone is dangerous, that romantic connections will eventually collapse, so she keeps her heart guarded, even though she craves connection. This is the conflict Jung talked about, the unconscious forces that silently shape our relationships, and highly intelligent people often fall victim to these forces more than anyone else because they rely on logic to solve emotional problems. And love is not logical. Jung believed that love requires the union of opposites: the logical and the emotional, the conscious and the unconscious, the ego and the shadow. And highly intelligent people often reject this union. Instead of embracing it, they try to rationalize their feelings. They want certainty, they want clarity, they want control, but love offers none of those things. And because of this, they often feel misunderstood. They feel like they love too deeply or not enough. They feel like something is wrong with them, but nothing is wrong with them. They simply love differently. Their minds process emotions like puzzles, trying to understand why they feel jealous, why they feel insecure, why they feel afraid. But love isn't meant to be solved, it's meant to be experienced, and this is the struggle. Jung explained highly intelligent people feel everything intensely, but express everything cautiously. They protect their hearts with walls built from knowledge, experience, and past wounds. And because they appear strong and confident on the outside, no one suspects how fragile they feel on the inside. Jung believed that these people often attract partners who don't understand their inner world. They attract those who mistake their emotional distance for coldness, their silence for disinterest, their independence for lack of love. And this misunderstanding creates a deep emotional gap that becomes harder and harder to close. The more they try to explain themselves, the more misunderstood they feel. They overthink every message, analyze every tone, worry about every pause. They ask themselves questions like, am I too much? Am I too distant? Am I too emotional? Am I too logical? And in this non-stop mental storm, they forget how to simply be present. Jung said that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But for highly intelligent people, transformation is terrifying because it means vulnerability, it means change, it means letting someone inside their inner world, a world they barely understand themselves. So instead of risking heartbreak, they hide behind intelligence, behind silence, behind emotional independence. And the saddest part is they don't do it because they don't want love. They do it because they want love too deeply. They fear losing themselves. They fear being judged. They fear being truly seen. This is the paradox Jung uncovered. The smarter the mind, the deeper the shadow, and the deeper the shadow, the harder it becomes to love freely. And now the question becomes, how does Jung explain this internal struggle? And what makes highly intelligent people sabotage relationships, even when they desperately want love? Jung explained that highly intelligent people sabotage. Jung Love not because they want to, but because they are constantly fighting an inner conflict between who they are and who they think they must be, and this conflict becomes even stronger when they enter a relationship because love exposes parts of them they spent their whole lives hiding: their insecurities, their fears, their emotional wounds, and above all, their shadow. And Jung believed that the shadow is the unconscious part of our personality that holds everything we don't want to admit about ourselves: the anger, the neediness, the jealousy, the fear of abandonment, the fear of not being enough. And highly intelligent people become experts at hiding their shadow, not from others, but from themselves, because admitting these hidden emotions feels like failure to them. So when love brings these emotions to the surface, they become overwhelmed. They don't understand why they suddenly feel anxious, why they get attached too quickly or too slowly, why they need reassurance but also fear intimacy, why they crave connection but push people away. Jung said that the shadow is always at our heels trying to catch our attention, and for highly intelligent people the shadow becomes even louder in relationships because love forces them into a level of emotional honesty they are not used to. For example, when a partner asks for more emotional openness, the intelligent person might feel accused, criticized, or exposed, not because the partner did anything wrong, but because the request touches an unresolved childhood wound. Maybe they grew up in an environment where showing emotions led to rejection or punishment, so now even a gentle request for closeness feels threatening. And this is where the relationship begins to shake, because instead of expressing what they feel, they withdraw. They shut down, they retreat into their minds, where everything feels safe and controlled. They overthink the relationship instead of experiencing it. They create imaginary scenarios. Instead of communicating, they fear burdening their partner, and so they stay silent, and their silence becomes distance, and that distance becomes misunderstanding. Jung explained that highly intelligent people often fall into what he called the anima projection. This means that instead of seeing their partner as a real human being, they unconsciously project their ideal or worst fears onto them. If they long for the perfect partner, they project unrealistic expectations and feel disappointed when the partner can't meet them. If they fear abandonment, they project insecurity onto the relationship and constantly feel unsure. Even when things are stable, this projection becomes a silent destroyer of love because the intelligent person isn't really relating to the partner. They are relating to their own internal image, created from past experiences and emotional wounds, and that image becomes stronger than reality. Jung believed that this inner projection can make highly intelligent people fall in love with potential, not the person; fall in love with imagination, not the relationship; fall in love with the idea of safety, not actual emotional intimacy. And when reality shows up with imperfections, misunderstandings, and vulnerability, they feel overwhelmed. They feel like love is slipping out of their control, and this loss of control scares them more than heartbreak itself. Highly intelligent people often crave a deep soulmate level connection, but they fear losing themselves in the process, so they hold back. They love deeply but quietly, intensely but cautiously, passionately but silently. Jung believed that the reason for this is individuation, the process of becoming whole and mature. An intelligent person often stays stuck between two halves of themselves: the logical thinker, who wants independence, and the emotional self, who wants closeness. And when these two parts don't work together, relationships become complicated because one part wants to protect the heart, while the other wants to surrender. And this inner split shows up in behaviors like mixed signals, emotional highs and lows, sudden withdrawal after deep intimacy, confusing silence, overthinking simple problems, and a constant feeling that something is missing, even when the relationship is good. And here's the painful truth. Jung revealed the more intelligent a person is, the more they struggle to trust their partner because they barely trust themselves. They don't trust their emotions, they don't trust their needs, they don't trust their shadow. So how can they trust someone else to hold their heart safely? This mistrust isn't about the partner, it's about the intelligent person's fear of vulnerability, and this fear becomes the biggest obstacle to love. They try to control the relationship instead of experiencing it. They try to predict outcomes instead of communicating. They try to protect themselves instead of opening up, and in the process, they sabotage the very love they want. Jung said that a relationship becomes real only when both people are willing to face their shadows together. But highly intelligent people try to face everything alone. They hide their problems, they hide their fears, they hide their emotional needs because they feel ashamed of them. And this isolates them inside the relationship, creating a bond that is mentally deep but emotionally distant. And now the real question appears: what can highly intelligent people do to love more fully, more honestly, more fearlessly? And how does Jung say they can finally break these cycles? Jung believed that highly intelligent people can finally experience healthy, powerful love only when they stop trying to outthink their emotions and start learning to understand the unconscious forces shaping their relationships, because the real battle they fight is not with their partner but with themselves. And their first step toward real love is recognizing that intellect alone cannot protect them from emotional pain, and that vulnerability is not a weakness but a kind of inner strength that allows two people to truly connect. Jung said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, and this means allowing the emotional self, the logical self, and the shadow self to exist together instead of fighting each other. Highly intelligent people must learn to acknowledge their deeper needs instead of hiding them behind confidence, independence, or silence. Because many of them pretend they don't need reassurance, don't need affection, don't need support, but deep inside they crave all of it, and pretending otherwise only creates emotional starvation. Jung explained that healing begins when the intelligent person stops running from discomfort, stops suppressing emotions, and stops pretending nothing affects them, and this self-honesty becomes the foundation of real intimacy, because the moment they allow themselves to feel without analyzing and express without overthinking, they begin to experience a different kind of love, a love that is freeing instead. A frightening Jung believed that confronting the shadow is the most powerful thing a person can do. And for the highly intelligent, this means accepting their flaws, admitting their fears, recognizing their insecurities, and understanding that even the brightest mind carries hidden darkness that must be acknowledged instead of denied. When they confront their shadow, they stop projecting it onto their partner, they stop creating imaginary fears, and they stop sabotaging connections with destructive thoughts like "I am too much, I am not enough, I will be abandoned, or I will lose myself." Jung said that wholeness is not achieved by cutting off parts of yourself, but by integrating them, and this integration allows the intelligent person to show up in love fully instead of partially. Another important principle from Jung is communication without masks. Highly intelligent people often bottle up emotions because they think their partner won't understand them, or because they don't want to appear needy. But Jung believed that silence is the breeding ground of misunderstanding, and the intelligent person must learn to speak their truth calmly, clearly, and gently, even if it feels uncomfortable, because honest communication creates connection and emotional safety. And with emotional safety, the overthinking mind begins to relax, and for the first time, love becomes peaceful instead of chaotic. Jung also believed that intelligent people must learn to differentiate between fear and intuition. Many intelligent individuals mistake their fears as logic. They think distancing themselves is rational, staying guarded is smart, analyzing everything is protective. But in reality, these behaviors are fear-driven responses rooted in the shadow. Once they learn to recognize this difference, they stop confusing anxiety for caution, jealousy for intuition, and emotional distancing for strength. Jung said that real love requires two people to transform each other, and for the highly intelligent, transformation becomes possible when they let go of the illusion of control. Love is unpredictable, love is messy, love is vulnerable, and trying to control it suffocates it. Instead of protecting it, the intelligent person must learn to surrender to the flow of the relationship, trust the process, feel deeply without judgment, and allow themselves to be changed by the connection, because transformation is not losing yourself. It is becoming more whole than before. Jung believed that love is a mirror. It reflects your brightest sides and your darkest wounds, and this mirror terrifies highly intelligent individuals because it reveals the parts of themselves they try hardest to hide. But the miracle happens when they stop running from the mirror and start learning from it, because the partner they fear being vulnerable with is often the partner who can help them heal, grow, and become emotionally stronger. Jung taught that relationships are not meant to be perfect, they are meant to be conscious. And when highly intelligent people choose consciousness over fear, communication over silence, honesty over protection, and connection over control, their entire experience of love transforms. They begin to love without overthinking. They begin to trust without panicking. They begin to express without shame, and they begin to connect without constantly preparing for heartbreak. And at that moment, something beautiful happens. Love stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like home. Jung's final message for highly intelligent people is simple, yet profound. The heart is not a problem to solve, nor a puzzle to decode. It is a living force waiting to be felt, and when they finally allow themselves to feel love fully, courageously and consciously, they discover that the very thing they feared the most, vulnerability, is the very thing that sets them free.